In 2026, perfect looks desperate. If your content looks polished like a commercial or an ad, people often will just scroll past it because our brains have been so conditioned to just ignore commercials. The artists winning right now aren't necessarily the ones with the best cameras. They're the ones who've mastered this ambient realism. Today we're going to break down why this digital diary aesthetic and style of content is beating high budget productions, both financially and in terms of returns, and how you can stop renting out your audience and start owning them today. What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. As always, you're here with Evan, aka 3Van, aka your man 3Van. And if you're new here to the channel, just want to clap it up for you real quick for giving this a chance. We break down the hottest topics and strategies in music marketing each and every week. So if that's something that appeals to you, hit that subscribe button before we even go to start. If you're a regular, welcome back to the deep end. Today's topic: shifting from chasing virality to building a world. We are looking today at the specific aesthetic and operational shifts that are going to define the next music breakout stars of 2026. When you really sit back and look at content and consume it and see how it's being presented, it's very clear to see that there's an old way and a new way of doing things. This old way includes this viral look, this high polish, these full-length music videos, which there's definitely still is a market for that sort of stuff. Someone like me will always be interested in clicking on a music video because that's what I grew up resonating with. However, we're marketing to a different generation nowadays. The new way of content in 2026 that's really starting to hit and pick up with people is this aesthetic continuity, this ugly realism, these packs of assets that we can offer and present to our viewers. The problem is that a lot of artists are under the misconception that it's still 2023 and we have to market like that. You think that you need a music video or some sort of dance trend. The fact of the matter is that the culture really has shifted. Audiences crave this intimacy, not necessarily this performative projection of the identity you want people to latch onto. People latch onto what's actually genuinely being portrayed. If you look like you're somebody who's trying to be famous, chances are you're not going to be, because the people who are trying to look famous, sound famous, fake it till they make it in terms of fame, those are the ones whose music often gets branded as coworker music. That's sort of a hole that not a lot of us want to find ourselves ending up in. So why exactly do we want to shift away from these high budget, high over the top quality productions in 2026? That seems to be what all the big artists who have already made it are doing. Why shouldn't we as smaller artists do it? Well, first of all, those are artists who have already made it in the game. They have the budget, they have money to blow, they have teams, they have resources, they have all these different things that they can almost throw at anything and get a return from. We are smaller artists. We do not have this unlimited budget, unlimited time, unlimited network connections, unlimited resources. We are forced to make a lot more work with having a lot less. And because of this, when we shoot for this sort of high, glossy, quality, over-the-top production that we see a lot of our big favorite artists doing, it often doesn't resonate with the people who are actually trying to get to listen to our music. And this is happening because things that have this high-quality sheen over them and layered on them tend to get thrown in the, oh, this is just an ad category in our subconscious minds. And this is happening because the algorithm has really become this pay-to-play landlord in 2026. It begins suppressing content that feels and looks like an ad to viewers. Viewers don't want to go on a platform and watch a whole bunch of ads. They want to watch a bunch of content that feels genuine. That's why you see Joe Blow's TikTok of him walking through his university campus, knocking on dorm rooms, interviewing college students. That's why you're seeing stuff like that go viral and blow up and actually do big numbers, because it feels genuine, it feels in the moment. It doesn't feel like it's an ad trying to sell you something. When you present your content in a way that makes it feel like an advertisement, automatically people are going to start being turned off by it just because they're going to feel like you're trying to sell them something. And if your music has that same sort of presupposition to it, we talked about this a bit in the Zanya Monet AI artist breakdown video, but if there's a high emotional barrier to entry, and in this case it's not even emotional, it's a quality barrier to entry. If there's this high barrier to entry that's trying to get you to buy, invest, purchase something, viewers just tend to be turned off by that sort of content in 2026. Some people still appreciate it, but the general culture doesn't appreciate or value that as much. The only way to really pierce through the algorithm organically is to look like a friend and not a brand. In order to pierce through the algorithm in 2026, Your brand image has to be not a brand, but a friend, which brings us to this topic of ambient realism. For those of you who've never heard of ambient realism, and I actually wasn't aware until I did the research for this video, it is the winning aesthetic that is really starting to take over in 2026. It's this anti-influencer look that's all about presence over presentation. Visually, it looks like flash photography, digital camcorder grain, messy bedrooms, lived-in spaces. It feels raw, it feels authentic. And if you look at TikTok artists especially, that's the sort of stuff that's really starting to blow up if you don't have an artist right behind it. The brat filter being thrown over clips is another great example of something that's really working within ambient realism as well. A significant chunk of the success of ambient realism has come through the development of this digital diary format. This refers to these 15-second clips that feel like random camera roll dumps. A shot of your shoes, the sky, your friends, you working on your computer, you doing your schoolwork, but they are editorially sync-locked to your music's emotional peaks. It seems to a viewer as something that's just accidental, but it's this highly engineered intimacy. What this digital diary and ambient realism help to achieve in terms of your content is that it makes the viewer feel like they've stumbled upon this private moment with you. If your content feels like a performance, you ultimately lose. If it feels like a memory, you begin to start winning. And I don't think there's a better example of what this contrast looks like when we compare the traditional 4K lip sync. If you see a lot of millennial or Gen Z artists trying to make it big in 2026, you often see them doing the 4K video lip sync. It's a very performance-oriented method of presenting your music, and ultimately falls into the don't category that we're looking at today. On the other side, this shaky camera, MacBook camera video, candid little moment while your music plays over a clip. You might lip sync a few words along with it. You might even be performing the song. That's the do that we're looking for. Just quickly to circle back to the idea of stumbling upon a private moment. Creating this intimacy over performance. This is something that you can even do within your own music as well too. If you happen to stumble upon the Brent Faiyaz video I just recently did, one thing I talked about was how Brent really presents this intimate vocal performance that makes you feel like you're sharing a private moment with him. And even though he has this high production budget that really exceeds pretty much all of his contemporaries, it still feels like this intimate moment when you're just listening to the music. You put the visuals aside, you always feel like you're in this intimate moment listening to Brent Faiyaz. It's never this overblown huge production, even when he tries to make it this huge production. And if you can figure out a way to implement and apply this to your own music as well as your content, that's honestly rocket fuel right there. So if ambient realism is the first pillar of content that we're looking at today, the second pillar that we're going to look at today is the asset pack workflow. The asset pack refers to this package of your content all organized in a way that allows it to penetrate the algorithm and get in front of people. As we've been seeing more and more, especially if you're an artist as well, the lucky viral hit is pretty much dead in the water, or you should approach it as if it's dead in the water, because if you're chasing a lucky viral hit, chances are you're not really going to find it, if we're being completely honest. The 2026 standard is this idea of publishability. Can you ship out high quality visuals each and every single day without burning out? Probably not, but that's okay, because if we have the song asset pack workflow, we're able to keep up with the demands of content and still present our art as if it's high quality without necessarily needing to throw a bunch of advertising level quality in front of all of our viewers. The bottom line of this is that the system beats luck, and we're going to learn how to build a system right now. You've probably heard this before from other creators, but if you plan to release a song or have already released a song, you need to have a folder of about 30 micro assets that you can roll out quickly over the next little while to promote your song. You're going to need things like 10-second hook clips, teaser loops for your Spotify canvas, the narrative scenes involving other people to add tension. All these are ideas of things that you can include in your asset packs. You can also do lyric edits as well too. I mentioned earlier the Brat font is still popping, and I think it's going to continue to be popping as a mode of promotion for artists going forward. doing that with some sort of content underneath it to engage people, especially those short attention spans now in 2026. These are all elements and anatomy of an asset pack that you should be developing for each and every single release, arguably before that release drops, or something that you can put together very quickly during the run of the release. Ideally, you should have a few pieces of content prepared before the song even hits the airwaves. So another element of the asset pack that you want to pay strict attention to is visual continuity. Hey, our branding. It's not like we haven't talked about this in every episode on this channel so far yet, right? We circle back to branding, visual continuity. Again, not over the top, quality, high sheen production. Stuff that is instantly recognizable as being your own. Visually, this looks like having 9 photos or sets of photos and videos, all with the same color grade and or outfit. Shoot all of this in one day. Same outfit, same room, same grade. When you post these over a month, your feed feels like this cohesive movie. You're building this world through repetition. And as we know in the past, repetition just continues to be this form of validation. And if you're combining it with your hook reels, your visual cues, your narratives that we just developed as well too, you create this cinematic universe. As we've been talking about in the past, building this brand world around your artistry and your music is so super duper crucial to being recognizable and standing out from the crowd and actually getting people who are willing to put investment into your art to come and join your party as well too. This is where we see it. That is 100% something that's part of your asset pack that you need to be including and viewing all your content through the lens of each and every time you're releasing a song, a series of songs, an EP. The asset pack is absolutely crucial. Just as it was in the past as well too. Just as crucial as it is in 2026. The third pillar I want to add to our aesthetic strategy today is this idea of creating a microeconomy. Essentially, you have 2 types of people who are resonating and engaging with your content. The people who are passive, disengaged, such as TikTok scrollers, and then the active, engaged people, such as people who you're messaging regularly, the SMS recipients if you're running SMS marketing, the email recipients if you're running email marketing, your Discord community members. These are active owners, not necessarily of your music or like the rights and stuff attached to your music, but just owners of a chunk of the microeconomy that you're developing. If you build your house on TikTok, you are renting from a landlord that hates you at the end of the day. That's the truth of the matter, is that the algorithm is not built to support artists. TikTok is not built to support creators a whole lot. However, it still supports it better than platforms like Instagram or YouTube do significantly. We want to move our fans from being passive scrollers to active owners and investors within our microeconomy that we're building around your art. Short form content should not be the final destination for you. Short form content at the end of the day is just a piece of your sales funnel. Your goal isn't necessarily views, your goal is data. And we talk about this a lot with my team as well too, and the artists that they're mentoring as well. You don't want just views, you want phone numbers, emails, follows in this case on TikTok, saves, follows on Spotify, follows on Apple Music. You want this digital sovereignty that gives you the chance to continually show up in front of the people who have said, yes, I want to see more of your work. I know we haven't talked a whole lot about email and SMS marketing as of yet, but it is 100% something that you want to be considering to leverage down the road in the future, maybe even starting to build right now. Sure, it will take some investment financially as well too, and in terms of time as well, but it really helps to build these solid connections with your fans. That's why you see so many artists that you wouldn't necessarily even expect, like industry certified artists, dropping their email, dropping their phone number in the form of content to be like, hey, send me a text, or hey, message me something about this, or hey, send me an email. And that's the sort of thing that is really going to help you to build those diehard committed fans that show up for each and every release. Building community, building group chats, doing all that sort of stuff really helps to create this thriving ecosystem around your microeconomy. And rewarding the real fans first is an awesome way to do this. And we can do this by implementing a 72-hour gate towards our content. And what a 72-hour gate in practice looks like is this. Release your best content, maybe even your high quality stuff. Maybe this is the place for it. Across your email list and your SMS list 72 hours before it hits any social media platform. Train your audience to know that the real fans don't have to wait for the algorithm to be fed and actually engage with their favorite artist. And by doing this, you really start to build this foundation, this loyalty. You begin to develop and drive up these expectations and deliver on these expectations to your fans that you're going to continue to give them access first before any of the real fans get to touch anything. And they will be the first ones through the gate to be exclusive. And a lot of bigger artists are moving towards doing this as well too. Admittedly, they put paywalls in terms of payment in front of things, obviously, but J. Cole rolling out the Fallout recently, he did a lot of special marketing through even.biz, and so did Brent Faiyaz to the best of my knowledge as well too. But they offered, I believe, in the case of Brent, because I know as a Brent fan, he was offering 2 songs from the album Icon that just came out for fans to listen to before any of the actual album hit streaming services. People could have gone to Even, purchased the album, pre-purchase it, and through Even they could stream it just like they would stream it through Spotify or Apple Music whenever they want, wherever they want, and they get 2 songs exclusive to Even before anybody else gets to hear it. Now as a fan, if you're a diehard Brent Faiyaz fan, you're like, oh snap, this is incredible. I get to hear 2 songs before any of the other regular fans get to be a part of the album experience. It really makes you feel valued as a fan and rewarded for showing up for this artist. And if you can incentivize fans through rewarding them across the funnel, that's a surefire way to build fans that are going to stick with you for life across all stages of your career. So now that we have these 3 pillars of the ambient realism, the asset pack, and the microeconomy, how do we proceed as artists? We have the aesthetic, we have the workflow and the business model, but what do we do to actually start doing this today? And this is what it's going to look like. The first action step that you can take is audit your camera roll, but not in terms of things for deletion. Ask yourself if you're collecting enough on your camera roll. Stop deleting the bad photos. The blurry shots and the weird angles are your ambient realism texture pack. Overlay your demos on that footage instead of just lip syncing. If you need to get more content, just like be actively filming each and every little thing. Obviously there's a way to do it that's not corny and there's a way to do it that is corny, but figure out what way feels authentic to you in a way that doesn't make you cringe when you look at it. By doing this and collecting more content, not necessarily the best, most polished and refined content, you're creating this picture, this outlook of your life that really demonstrates what's going on, what's getting put into the music. Creates that common ground with people whose camera roll might also look like yours. And once you put your music in front of that, people are like, oh, this looks exactly like my camera roll, and this artist just put out this song. Oh, maybe I'll give it a chance. That's an entry point at the end of the day, and we're all about entry points here. The second action step that you can take is organizing the one-day shoot. Don't plan this big music video. Just plan 30 different micro moments. Change angles, not outfits. Get a month of your content pretty much done in just 6 hours of just being out and about in the world. Plan your locations, plan your angles. I use Google Maps a lot for this, honestly. Just scouting Google Maps, just seeing places that might look good for an angle. Even if it doesn't look good for an angle, ask yourself, how can I make this look good for an angle? How can I make this look authentic? Can I do it through some angle work? Can I do it through a different outfit? Can I do it through interacting with a person on camera? Doing things like this will really allow you to create these little moments in your content that don't feel like this pre-planned theatrical performance. It feels like this organic moment that could happen at any given time. Communicating that to your fans encourages them to lock in and watch what else you're doing as well too. And the third action step for really applying this and rolling this strategy out in real time is to start collecting a list of who your diehard fans are. I started collecting a list at the top of the year to monitor who was sort of supporting all of my various channels across social media and figure out who's going to be included within the gate for your next release. Tell your followers, link in bio gets your song 3 days early. Watch who converts. Those are going to be your investors. Figure out ways to get your email marketing going, your text marketing going. Figure out who would show up in a group chat or a Discord chat as well too. These are going to be the people who are wanting to be owners in your microeconomy. These are the people who are going to want to be investors. And once you know who those people are, you can start locking in with them and marketing to them specifically and building that relationship with them even deeper to the point where they tell their friends and they tell their friends. Personal recommendation goes a far way in music. A lot of the artists that are still on regular rotation in my playlists, even the ones who I'm not really close with anymore, a lot of them have come from friends and their suggestions. So this idea of personal recommendation, it really goes a long way. And when somebody sees that this person's a diehard fan of somebody else, that makes them want to pay attention to that artist a little bit more, because this is something that's special to this person who they care about. And your music ultimately becomes a bonding mechanism for two people who maybe want to be closer together. And yeah, that's about it for today, guys. Pretty deeply intense video, just in terms of really getting into the nitty-gritty in 2026. Hope you appreciated this video. Thanks for sticking around if you made it to the end of the video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if this kind of video encouraged you or just gave you some useful knowledge that you plan to use for your own career. Stay in tune with everything that I'm working on as well within this channel, and then privately throughout my own music as well too. I am putting these strategies to active use each and every day. So if you want to see how it's paying off for somebody, you can head over to this channel as well and check it out. That's where I do a lot of my music. And if you're somebody who is still struggling to make good music that you enjoy, I've developed a artist information and development system that is for purchase for anyone who's looking to grow in that area. I call it the Curious Artist. It includes every skill from song idea to release of what you need to know and do as an artist making songs on their own at a quality high level, making more marketable music at the end of the day. That's all for today, guys. Appreciate you showing up. We're all in this together as artists, as I always say, and we're going to keep doing this together, guys. All right. Catch you in the next one. Peace out.